we saw global emissions drop as a result of the COVID pandemic, and now we're back to pre-pandemic levels that were recorded in 2019. So we really are going the wrong direction as far as global emissions, and we're seeing that reflected in the global GHG concentrations in the atmosphere. And that, of course, is leading to increasing temperatures. And I think some of the really stark statistics from this report is the past 5 years or 7 years, 2015 to 2021, were the warmest years on record. And there's actually a 93% chance that we're going to have the hottest year on record in the next 5 years. And I think 2022 is, well on its way to possibly setting that record, considering how hot this summer was for many of us here in Europe, and particularly in the United Kingdom, which hit record temperatures.
I think the report highlighted that at the moment, in terms of the commitments to reduce emissions to aim to keep global warming below 1.5 degrees, we've still only got a seventh of the commitments we need to achieve that by, I think, 2030. So how concerning is that?
I think it's very concerning. Like you said, the report shows that we are far from reaching the goals of the Paris Agreement, and current policies are nowhere near sufficient. And current studies actually show that current policies will lead to 2.8 degrees Celsius of warming over the course of the 21st century, which, as you know, the goals of the Paris Agreement is to limit temperatures to 2 degrees Celsius or striving for 1.5. And in order to reach that 1.5 degrees Celsius goal, the ambition of those mitigation pledges has to be 7 times higher. And to even reach 2 degrees Celsius, the ambition needs to be at least 5 times higher.
And it's not the fact that the whole world is safe at that level. Many places are still going to feel the increasing impacts of climate change, and we've started to see that around the world, magnified this year with record temperatures, cyclones, storms, floods, drought. Is this only going to get worse in the short term?
It will. And you hear this a lot, but every fraction of a degree matters. And so, like you said, even if we are able to maintain the 1.5 or 2 degrees Celsius goals, not everyone is going to be safe. And particularly the world's most vulnerable populations are going to suffer disproportionately. And we are already seeing that across the world. Even just recently in 2022, we saw record heat waves hitting both Europe and also India and Pakistan. And of course, the recent floods in Pakistan as well have just been absolutely devastating. And these communities, particularly in the global south, they've contributed the least to climate change. And yet we are seeing them suffer the most as a result.
So in addition to reducing emissions, trying to keep these rising temperatures within some sort of limits, what else can we be doing, if you like, to prepare for the changes we're going to have to face?
Well, adapting to the impacts of climate change and increasing resilience is going to be absolutely crucial. For a long time, adaptation did not receive quite as much attention as mitigation, but we're at a point now where we have to do both. We have to continue to increase our ambition to mitigate, but we also have to really scale up our adaptation actions across the world, invest more finance into adaptation, and make sure that people are more resilient so that they can lower their risk to the impacts of climate change.
And another buzzword that's been around, and there have been a number of other reports, is the expression tipping points. And some unknowns around that as we see increased ice melt at both poles, concern about the potential for methane release, impacts on, I call them land-based glaciers, from anywhere from the Himalayas to Africa. What are the sort of things that are on your radar that you're keeping a close eye on?
Well, regarding tipping points, like you said, a lot of people are starting to talk about this issue, and I think it's really important. Right now, these tipping points, they can't be ruled out. And I think it's very important for us to do more research into this issue, because there's still a lot that we just don't understand as far as these tipping points. Where exactly is that threshold? What is it going to look like if we cross it? There's still just a lot we don't know. So further research is needed.
But I guess the whole point of all your work in creating, I guess, an advanced warning, a realistic science-based, fact-based look at what's going on, is that there are things we can do about this, both on a civil society level and a governmental level and an industrial level.
Absolutely. And even on an individual level, there is still stuff that we can do and we have to do. We all need to be thinking about how we individually can reduce our emissions. Civil society plays such an important role in advocating for strong policies at the government level. And of course, businesses have an important role to play as well in reducing their emissions too.